Hi everyone and welcome back to the Coaching Observer. I'm Coach Tian, providing you a bit of coaching insights from my point of view to all coaching enthusiasts, spectators, and some emerging coaches. I've been covering the World Cup thus far, selecting a few of the matches that, I was really looking at the strategy, the key positions, and making some of my predictions. And I'm so happy we are finally at the playoff stage of the tournament, right? The make or break, pack up and go home or get to stay another week. It's been intense. So looking at where we are right now, right, with our four different matches. First up, we have Wales against Argentina, right? And then following that, we're going to watch New Zealand take on Ireland. We also have in the same pools, or in the same bracket there, we got England and Fiji. And then the last game on Sunday evening is South Africa versus France, which are the hosts. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be intense. I'm going to try to cover as many of the games as possible, starting off with Wales, Argentina. I'll always be looking at, kind of the selections. I see teams haven't been announced as I'm making this video. I'll be looking at some key positions, looking at the strategy on attack and defense. And I'll also be talking about my prediction, and we'll see where that goes. I know a lot of people have asked me, what are my final predictions for the World Cup? It's a bit tight to say. I think I'm going to keep it for the videos. So I'll keep it one by one and we'll build up towards that. Everyone wants to know my opinion. It's a little bit controversial depending on, who you are supporting. So yeah, guys, let's dive into our first game, which is Wales-Argentina. I'm not going to go into too much detail on the selection. I think we understand which are the two teams' strongest lineups. Obviously, it's playoff. It's not playing around and, experimenting. It's time for them to really show what they have. So, yeah, let's not go and dive too much into the lineups. We can definitely look at key positions and stuff like this. I'm going to break down some of the strategy of both sides from what I think we'll possibly see and what's going to make the big differences. So, guys, if we watch Argentina beating Japan and how they did it, a lot of the scoring out on the wings, right? And if we look at the way Wales beat teams, they play quite differently on their lead up to the playoffs compared to the playoffs. They game manage very slow scoring, a lot of high contestable balls, a lot of just, making sure that they win. Guys, at this stage of the tournament, there's no bonus points. It doesn't matter how many tries you score. It matters who has more points than the other team at the end of the day. Right, so if we look at Argentina, guys, they play a bit more flary than Wales. They play with that passion that really comes out and that drives them. And I don't think we saw them at the 2019 World Cup making playoffs, which was quite sad. So they're going to be feeling these type of passions. We'll see them cry in the national anthem, and this really bolsters them. Side note, there was a bit of a study done actually, and the only team in the entire world in rugby that cries before the match that actually has a positive impact is Argentina. So different studies were done, and you're looking at player contributions or player performance after crying during the national anthem, and across the board, all countries, if players are crying, generally their first 5 to 7 minutes of the game has actually got a negative detriment. However, for Argentina, that first 5 to 7 minutes on average actually increases their player performance. I know, just a weird small side note over there. And when you see 90% Argentinian team crying, just keep that in mind. Okay, so we saw that Argentina brought in Nicolas Sanchez. I think when Argentina played England, I brought this into account. I said that they had a young number 10, inexperienced, and England completely showed them up. Now, if you've been looking at the last 2 or 3 games, Argentina came and fell back onto Nicolas Sanchez, cool, calm, and collected, a little bit of flair, but just, he's the experienced hand in that. And I think Mike Shaker finally realized that he needs this and just to pull that team together. The brand of Argentinian rugby is extremely physical, right? And the Northern Hemisphere teams, they know that this is what they bring. So South Africa is the same, very physically dominant team. New Zealand is quite a hybrid on this. They are extremely physical, don't get me wrong. I just don't think that they need that much go forward from their forwards compared to other teams. Now, Argentina, if it's a front foot ball and they give their back line good ball, good pace on the ball, clean rucks, right? Things like this, they really excel off of it. So Argentina Attack from my side, guys, and it's pretty similar to what they did to England. They need to bully up front. They always play a few phases, right? And then as soon as they get go forward ball, it sends. Now, Argentina, there's two huge considering factors when I'm talking on attack. And firstly is, are their hands on song or not? So sometimes we see an Argentinian side that is just completely gelling, coming together, the hands are coming together. And on the flip side of the coin, you literally see an Argentinian team that nothing goes to hand. Everything is knocked on, the passes are too long, small nitty-gritty stuff like what we saw what they did against England, right? Although England had a red card. So firstly on attack is, let's say Argentina ticks the boxes and it's a good day out for them. If they have a bad day, how do they come back from it? That's a question, that's something that the coach will probably talk to them about this week, and how to fight back onto that. They'll probably slow down the game as much as possible. So let's say they have a good day, everything is go forward. Guys, it's going to be 2 or 3 second rucks. It's very hard to get this right, especially against Wales. Wales got some phenomenal loose forwards that really dive into that space and make sure it's slowed down. So Argentina, I expect 2 to 3 second rucks. Right, means 9 is going to get the ball out within 3 seconds, play wherever they want to play, and it's generally quite a forward strong game until they feel comfortable at the place to give it wide, get their solid wings. Bafeli scored, I think, 2 tries against Japan. Their wings know how to finish, and they get the ball wide quite nicely. Only once they've bullied the ball up with the forwards. So I expect this phase play from their own 10 all the way through to the other team's 22, then penalty or not penalty, they'll try something with the wings, no penalty, just keep hitting up with the forwards and their physicality as long as they can keep ball in hand, right? So Argentina will see huge phase building, more than 12 to 15 phases every time they get the ball past the 10-meter line. I do think, as every other team has been doing, they'll look for the 50-22. Sanchez can get it right. And any penalty advantage, they're trying to get it out to the wings with one-on-one situations as often as possible. Now, at 12 and 13, they don't have those big heavy hitters that a lot of teams do. They try get the ball out behind the back as quick as possible, linking forwards and backline players to get to the wing situations or scenarios and just get that one-on-one situation where they're often winning. I think defensively, we've seen that Argentina is solid. I think that they have a good defensive line. They make their hits. I want to see more turnovers at ruck time. Now, I don't know the turnover percentage at the moment, but Argentina have got forwards that are physically dominant, that are tough, that are hard, but they concede too many penalties. So, like I said, on Argentina being on song on attack with regards to their hands, if it's a hit or miss, Argentina's defense is exactly the same to me. It's sometimes a huge hit, right, where they're doing everything they need to do to the best of their ability. And on the flip side of that, again, everything goes wrong. It's constant penalties, it's yellow cards, it's bad decision making, getting hot, getting tempered, and then just letting that run their game. So what I don't want to see from Argentina is a single yellow card in the full 80 minutes. Right? If they can get this right, they're giving themselves one of the best opportunities. Are they going to get it right? In my personal opinion, I don't think so. I'm definitely expecting at least 1 or 2 yellow cards in the game from Argentinian side if nothing goes right for them. Okay, so on defense, they tackle hard, but sometimes it slips up and it hits high. Okay, often they are coming offside, or they are digging in and just not communicating with the ref and releasing at ruck time. So there's a lot of penalties against them. And on the flip side, we have Wales, we have Dan Bigger, it's points. I mean, if anyone can remember the semi-final South Africa-Wales at the 2019 World Cup, I think 16-13 or 19-16 is the end score, extremely close. It was a battle between Pollard and Bigger with regards to just who's kicking 4 poles. And yeah, Wales is going to do the exact same thing, right? So Wales is going to game manage, go for poles. And if Argentina on defense cannot concede any penalties and give them those opportunities, they are giving themselves the best possible way to try and win that game. Now, defensively, how else they need to do it? Just keep doing what they're doing, right? They are making their first time tackles, very important. They have line speed on defense as well. They really contest well at line out time, okay? And the scrum is it's a good, solid scrum. Mike Shaker has really got quite a well-rounded, well-holistic team at the moment, and I enjoy watching them, especially when everything is on song, like I said. Great. So let's dive into Wales' attack and defense. Now, Wales is extremely formidable. They have really good win rates with regards to playoff rugby. They obviously won 2019 quarters as well. Now, when we look at Wales, The reason for their very good high winning rate, firstly, other than Warren Gatland, heading them up again, I think Warren Gatland is a phenomenal coach. He does a lot right. He is got a bit of a Kiwi and New Zealand background as well. So these things all play into it. And he's been in European rugby for so long. He's probably the biggest name with regards to Welsh rugby and a coach. I think they even renamed part of the stadium gate called the Gatland Gate now. So, there's huge respect, and it speaks to him as well. He's also the British and Irish Lions coach, so the players go far beyond for him. And this is big for me because they are missing some of the key and old players, like Alan Wynne-Jones isn't there anymore. I mean, everyone knows how just Alan Wynne-Jones was such a good captain. The way he'd speak to the ref, have that relationship, the way he speaks and connects with the boys, the way he leads. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a generation of Welsh players who just want to be like Alan Wynne-Jones. So Wales are with the formidable management staff, and I think it's Mike Shaker. He's also really good. Didn't have such a good setup at Australia, but I don't know, Gatland brings a different atmosphere for me, and these are important things to talk about when you get to playoff rugby. The composure of your management or coaching staff, the communication that goes out at halftime before the game, the build up, all these type of plans, right? So firstly, Wales attack and defense, it's a Warren Gatland run show. With that being said, they have the players that complement it. I mentioned Dan Biggar earlier. On attack, Dan Biggar is some of the calmest player I've seen under pressure. So he's able to kick ball in hand. He has time on the ball. He directs where he wants to. And it's a nice comparison as well if you look at players like Johnny Sexton. If you look at, I'm not remembering the name now, but I spoke about it so much. If you look at Finley Russell as well, the Northern Hemisphere tends to me are phenomenal at managing a game and converting points. So Dan Biggar is going to be the go-to guy for Gatland. He's going to kick 90% of penalties are going to poles, guys. I'll be very surprised unless the game is running away somewhere that they aren't going for poles. Or as soon as they have that scoreboard pressure and they feel comfortable for going for the line out, they're going for it. I don't think Wales by attack is going to confront Argentina up front that much. They will be physical as much as what they can be, but they're going to try to keep the ball as far away from the rucks, from the scrums, from the lineouts, from the mauls as possible, because that's Argentina's space. So on attack of Wales, it's going to be a territory game. It's going to be kicking into space, 50-22s, giving contestables, trying to put them as much in pressure within their half of the field. That's definitely going to be where they are, trying to convert any penalty or anything that they can and just get points, get out and reset again. All right, so 15 is phenomenal at kicking, Biggar is phenomenal at kicking. 12-13 combos aren't that great at running, so I do think we are seeing a lot of contestables, a lot of box kicks as well from the 9, and these are going to be their focus points. Territory, try force some form of error of Argentina, capitalize on points, and just kind of win the game like that. I don't see the biggest game unless Argentina is not on song. Wales defensively need to make sure that they are trying to slow down that ball, because you can really get into Argentina's mindset and it spirals negatively, right? Like a domino effect negatively. I want them to be able to get into their heads like that. And that's slowing down their ruck, playing in those grey areas around the ruck, really getting into the face of Argentina, but retaining ball as much as what they can. And then spreading that ball and making sure that their wings don't have a good day. I've always felt that if Buffelli is having a good day for Argentina, everything else comes off. Buffelli also does the kicking for poles. He's very good with ball in hand. So if he's losing that aerial battle against Wales, it's going to be tough. And if Wales win that, everything's going to start coming alive for them. Now, with this being said, guys, the Welsh trio is phenomenal. So that 6, 7, 8 is very strong for me. Probably the go-to in their team for the forwards, and that's going to dominate the ruck space for me. on how they contest rucks, how they slow down ball, how they hit their line speed, how they jackal, how they get turnovers or concede penalties, or or actually turn penalties over. That's going to be the biggest area, is in that ruck area. Like I said, I think scrum, again, stalemate. Not one of these teams are going to completely dominate the scrum. I don't even think we'll see too many penalties from a scrum. So scrums and lineouts, I don't think the teams are going to want to go to lineouts that much, unless they've built up that scoreboard pressure I've spoken about. All right. So yeah, I'm just touching on attack on defense of these teams. I've covered both of them before, and going into the real technical side of things on how they attack and who they go to and how they do it. I'm pretty much just giving some strong points of Argentina and some strong points of Wales, to see who's going to use that and get the edge on that. All right. If you want more tactical, more strategical things, guys, give comments to me, so that by the time we come to semi-final and you really want to know how, what's that edge that this team is going to use, or what's that exact setup they're going to use, I'll look for that and I'll put that into my next video. So to close off, guys, thanks so much for the continuous support, for watching my content, for enjoying, for giving me both sides of feedback. I've gotten some constructive feedback, I've also gotten some positive feedback. It's really great. I know this video has been too technical. I'm giving a bit of a broader to try and get my content out there. I think I'll get more and more technical with some of the bigger clashes. This left side of the quarterfinal, to me, it can go both ways, right? So I think if we look at England-Fiji, obviously I want the underdog to win. If I look at this game, Argentina, I also want the underdog to win. But the side of the pool is the lower 10 of our World Rugby rankings, right? Where the games I'm going to get into on Sunday, these are the top 5 teams or top 4 teams in the world, pre-World Cup. So I really want to see, and I'll really dive into what are going to be the fundamental differences when I get there. All right, so please stay tuned on the rest of the week, guys. Appreciate your support. If you have any questions with regards to strategy, with regards to the way I view the game, or if you want to give me some of your insights, please post it on the comments, send me a message, send me an email. Let's get nice and interactive here, guys. And I hope you enjoy the content and enjoy the content to come. Thanks, guys. Have a lekker one.